video. So I had to start it at 7:19 exactly so I can make sure that I'm not uh, failing to provide a service of being here at exactly the time that I planned to be here. Since every other time I make a video, I tend to show up late, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Or anybody who's checked out my live casts know that usually I'll, I'll set it for a time and then I'll keep pushing the time forward. And that's because I don't want to talk on the camera at that moment. I've got shit to do. I've got something to make. Maybe I'm cooking dinner. And it's like, and I ask myself, why am I even doing this? I mean, look, if I was a big live streamer and I was making fucking millions of dollars off of this, of course I'd be, live casting. Uh, Fuck, dude, people are making fucking millions out there. It's uh, it's pretty crazy the internet cash out there, but I'm not making money and I don't do this for the money, so I'm kind of just like, well, it's my obligation, but at the same time, I don't give a fuck. And so I haven't made a live cast in quite a while. Anybody who follows my channel knows this. There was a period of time last year where I was doing them maybe once a week or something. I very much enjoyed doing it because I feel like I can interact with my audience, like I can have discussions about normal shit. But it's like every fucking week, one of them, I get an email from YouTube, like it seems every week now, saying, "Oh, we've removed your video for violating our terms of service," and it'll say like most of them. I just got one of these like an hour ago. It said we've removed your. It was a Q&A, so it must have been a live one. It says we've removed it for medical misinformation, and then it goes on to talk about vaxes and stuff. I can't even say the word. I can't even talk about that shit. Like, and so there's part of me that's like, okay, I can't talk about a whole lot of different shit that I'd like to talk about, and then it kind of takes away like that desire to make a video at all. Like, well, if I can't talk about everything, I have to self censor, and then I start thinking about everybody else that's self censoring. Holy shit! Like, how much of the crap out there. I've noticed people are even bleeping out words like rape or suicide. See, just by saying those like that, just by using those words to define the parameters of the discussion that I'm having, I get labeled into this. Oh no, the algorithm's going to push my video to the bottom. It's just fucking stupid. The whole thing's stupid. But that's just the internet. We haven't even touched on the subject of war. We haven't touched on the subject of social media in general, or how horrible cashiers are at their job these days. That one just popped into my head because I was talking to somebody about counting back change. But just how people used to just have pride in who they were and what they did, and it just seems like nobody cares anymore. And I know that could just be my perspective as I get older. Am I becoming more jaded? And am I becoming more cynical? Or am I just becoming more aware of the reality of how things are? Or am I seeing what I choose to see? And I just don't fucking know. So, anyway, hey everybody, welcome. What do you want to talk about? This probably won't be a very long live cast. Let's just say that I've been through a lot in my head over the last couple of months. A lot of shit. I mean, I've been processing a lot, and I've tried in that period of time. I've tried um, many different mindsets as far as how do I want to see the world, ketamine therapy, things like that. Which I made a whole video about ketamine therapy, and I can't. I don't even want to post it because two reasons. Number one, it just gets censored and thrown to the bottom. But number two, it's a topic that's very sensitive, and I don't want to go out there and talk about drugs to anybody younger who might watch my channel, or anybody that I know who might watch my channel. So certain things I have to keep under wraps. I think what I'm going to do is post post a video of it, that video, and then just link it to my Patreon. But it might be a bit. But anyhow, I got to this point where I started to remind myself that people are okay, that everything's okay. We're all going to be okay, and that no matter how no matter how much I try to convince myself that things It's like no matter what lessons I learn about life, and no matter how much I try to apply these lessons to life, I still get wrapped up in my own head. My brain just gets clogged with all these thoughts and ideas that I cannot seem to organize. And when I'm in certain states of mind, let's say, I can actually compartmentalize all of these things. I can see my emotions. I can see the things that I lack in life. And I pointed this out to my wife the other day. I said, you know what's fucked up is that all the things I have to feel guilty about in life, they're none of them are things that I've done. They're all things I haven't done. And I kind of thought about that for a minute. It's really it's made an impact on how I've been thinking lately. I play it safe. I've always played it safe. I'm kind of a rule follower slash do it safely kind of guy. But at the same time, because of that, this certain rebellious streak comes out in me. There's part of me that will not put up with bullshit. If I'm out in society and I'm doing something, I'm at the grocery store and somebody else is talking shit to somebody else, I find myself getting involved. If somebody's a bad driver, I let them know, right? I'm the kind of person who, if somebody cut me off into the parking lot and I happen to run into them, I'd be like, hey, they might want to get a driver's test before you get your license. Um, I have no shame in putting people in their place, but that makes me look like an asshole sometimes. Maybe I am an asshole. I don't fucking know. I don't really fucking care, honestly. Just come to the point in life where I just stopped giving a shit what other fucking people think about me. I mean, other than obviously I want to be respected by some people, but the more people that respect you, the more people will disrespect you. In other words, I learned long ago there's always going to be somebody who hates you. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how good you are, how kind you are, or what you do. Hell, you could even be the kind of person who gives to charity all day long, and then somebody would point out that you're just doing it for yourself. There's some asshole who has some fucking shitty thing to say to just about everybody out there. We all know it. We run across them all the time. These are the fucking 1% of people who use Twitter who post 90% of the fucking garbage. Oh, look at me. Look at what I can say. Look at my opinion. Look how much my opinion matters. And, fuck your opinion. Doesn't mean shit. It's funny. I'm ever since I was young, I've never looked up to any celebrities, even musicians. Let's say I had friends who were obsessed with the bands, the names of the band. They wanted to know the history of, the names of the band members, the history of every single aspect of each one of those people, the fights they had. I don't give a shit about celebrity and their own personal lives. But it's because I realized a lot of folks look up to these people who have been successful as if they emulate them and they say, I want to be like that, or at least be part of that excitement. And then you grow up and you realize they're all just people, just like you. Even the Gandhis of the world, right? I think he had some kind of, didn't Gandhi have some issue with like some sexual like assault thing, or I don't even remember, but there was something about him that it was like, oh, that's not the Gandhi you think he is, because we're all just human. It's okay to realize that nobody's perfect, and some of the people out there who we consider to be heroes, hey, so be it if it makes us feel good. But the point of that was that these are the guys who are out selling you, the Shaq, right? Shaq is the perfect example. Fuck Shaq. I've never liked Shaq. I don't give a shit about his opinion on car insurance. I don't give a shit about his opinion on cookware or anything else. But for some reason, you can take a guy like Shaq, put him on 1,000 different, commercials, and people will buy it because Shaq says it. Um, I've never been able to be part of that aspect of society. The whole brand name. I wear this because I'm like this, and I don't know. It's just there's my cynical side coming out again. So hello to everybody. Oh, it's the vegan guy. Oh no, it's the obsessed vegan guy. I'm not even gonna respond to you, dude. You're so fucking boring. Rob Stoltz, good morning to you. HRC, good morning to you. It's good to see you all. Fuck your vegan nation. There's some people that are so obsessed with meat. I just had some chicken strips. They were good. Anyway, no more Five Guys burgers and fries. So you've left 4 comments out of like the 8 comments on here, and they're all about meat. I think that you might be psychotic and you might want to see a doctor about that. Um, yeah, fuck your opinion. I guess you're one of those guys I'm talking about. I don't care about your fucking opinion on what to eat. Yeah, I'm a little bit cynical. Anyway, I got to go grab something real quick because I started this on time, but I still need to grab something. My other phone so I can actually read the comments because my eyes are bad because I'm getting old. And yeah, it sucks. So hold on. So yeah, I'm back. So anyway, as I was saying or wasn't saying, I well, it's Sunday night, and I'm gonna go to bed at a decent hour because I got to get up early because I drive an hour to work now each way. Um, that's pretty much why I've stopped doing videos because I've been so busy at work. I don't have the energy or the mindset to make videos, and I've tried to make a couple in the morning when I feel inspired, but I don't feel like I'm obligated to make videos. I just do it when I feel like speaking, and so I guess I've been through a lot. I've been untangling a lot in my head and haven't had a lot to share because I'm a guy who likes to do research. I like to look at shit. I like to learn. I mean, when I'm watching, YouTube, I'm watching, ancient Odyssey, some story about ancient Minoans or something. I love to learn about history, science, technology, all that shit. But lately, ever since the K therapy that I did, it was a self-administered therapy over a period of a few weeks, and this was right before I started my new job at the beginning of the new year. And I started working for a construction company because my boss in the tiny houses I was building, he retired. And I was kind of left just, with my dick in the wind, trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, I need a job. I need a job that pays well. But carpentry jobs are so hard. They're all paying like, they want to hire you at like 24 to 28 bucks an hour. And that just ain't enough, for a carpenter who knows his shit. And I know my shit. So I found somebody who was hiring for $10 more than like every other company. And I thought that's a long shot, but I'm gonna try it. Had a meeting with the dude, met up with him. He's got a leather jacket and long ponytail, suede jacket, ponytail, looks like me pretty much. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Got tattoos all down, sleeves and shit. He's like, he wanted to start a family type construction business where the people actually like, you know, get along. He doesn't want a company where all the employees don't get along. And so everybody's very tight and it's like fam, you know, they have events and do lunches and stuff. And I've been there 1 month, and for at least half of it, I've just been kind of put on my own doing finished carpentry in this guy's house that works for. He worked for Intel for like 30 years, I guess, and his name's Paul. He's about my age, really cool dude, you know, a tech bro. And he, I guess, had like a 10,000 square foot house down in Cali. He sold it and moved up and bought like this small, like 1,000 square foot, 1,500 square foot house, and we're remodeling it for him. And so that's just been what I've been doing, going to work. It's like 50 minutes to get there, 50 minutes to get home, traffic every day. And at the beginning, it was just really wearing me down. It's like, I can't sit in traffic all day. And then I had this epiphany of this organism that we all are and how it works together towards some end that I can't understand, that I won't be able to comprehend in this life. That I'm totally have finally set aside that desire to know, quote, the truth about whether it's the afterlife or where we come from. I'll put it this way. Over the last few months, I have reaffirmed to myself what I already knew, but with such more, you know, gusto, it really imprinted on my mind that there there is another place that you can go in your head that is more real than this world. You can reach that through transcendental meditation, many different ways, but it's a state that reminds you of a place that you were long before you were born, if that makes sense. And it just feels natural. It feels good. And so, with that knowledge, I've been able to deal with traffic. With that reminder, I've been able to handle people and know that things are okay and know that I am where I'm supposed to be at any one given time. You know, the struggle is real. I don't have a lot of money and I'd love to be rich. But at the same time, I know that being rich wouldn't make me happier. It would just be a temporary reprieve. And then I would be back to the same problems. So here we are on this, you know, conveyor belt of moving forward, yet, you know, not moving backwards mentally just because we move forward financially, or regressing in any way, you know, just because something happens to us in life. My mom died a month and a half ago, I guess. Wait, was it? No, it was 2 months ago now that my mom died suddenly. And this is after we've been dealing with my wife's mom's house for the last 6 months. I was just there. I just got back from working at her house. They're still going through stuff because she was a hoarder basically, and we had so much stuff to go through. It's been an ongoing process for many months. Every weekend for my wife, always down there, and I've been helping her when I can, but probably not as much as I should. But it's, you know, these are just life things that come up that we have to deal with. And when you're family, you have to deal with all these crises that arise. And it's so easy for us to forget that it's okay, that it's all part of the process. Like, people die, and we do what we can. We have to deal with their estate or something as simple as their vehicle. You know, how do you transfer titles? And shit just comes out of nowhere. When things are going really well for us, we just don't recognize it. It's very hard to notice. You know what I mean? You're you're just moving along and everything's fine, and next thing you know, all this time's flown. Everybody's healthy, everybody's doing fine, and then somebody gets sick, or you get in a car accident. Like my car broke down, you know, several times last month, and I had to fix like so many different things. But once it was done, it was done. And that's something I learned early on, that it'll be over. This too shall pass. It all does. All those old quotes, they all mean something and they all matter. You should take, anytime something's spoken over and over again as a quote, well, not a quote, but a saying, if you will, um, follow it, listen to it. You know, the old timers knew what they were talking about. These old jokes and quips that people have that have been passed down through generations are there because all humans are fallible and we all face the same shit consistently, day in and day out. It's like one thing after another. We've all known this, you know, like my generation, Gen X, I guess, was the latchkey kids, as they called us, because we were pretty much on our own. A lot of our parents had been raised strictly by their parents, and therefore their boomer parents, and therefore they wanted to just let us kind of do our own thing. And we did. Oh boy, did we. I mean, my brother and I caused all kinds of problems. My friends and I roamed around town and just got high and partied and didn't really do anything responsible when we were young. Do I regret it? No, of course not. But having a little direction would have been nice. You know, it kind of led me to this place where I started saying, okay, well, what am I supposed to be doing as a human? Nobody ever taught me what is important. I didn't have any male role models. My father died when I was like 15, and it just fucked me up, you know, and my brother, who was like 12. And after that, I just didn't really trust men, you know, older men. I didn't. I saw these guys around me who had these heroes, and even to this day, guys who look up to these quote alpha males. I'm like, I just don't get it. I won't get it. I'll never get it. I mean, I understand it on the level of this is why people are the way they are because we look towards leadership for direction. And so many people have told me, oh, you're a leader. I'm like, well, in certain instances, I don't mind being a leader, but I have to know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that's hard because I don't feel like I always know what I'm talking about. So there's this balance between confidence and ignorance and arrogance where there's people out there are people out there on the internet who will tell you exactly how to live your life if that's what you're looking for. But I'm here to tell you, no, don't do it. Don't follow somebody else's path. You know, follow your fucking heart. And it's very difficult to know what your heart wants. Being a human, it's like we're these wild creatures in these bodies. You know, I've been in states of mind where I'm extremely calm, collected, and one with the universe. But in my daily life, I'm just chaotic. I'm like, you know, bouncing off the walls. What is that all about? Why can't I keep that mindset that I know of reality while I'm living my daily life? I don't know. I don't know. I've tried, and I don't think it's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be chaotic. It's like we bloom on this planet for a short time. We're like a spore and we pop and we're gone, you know? And to us, it's like, oh, it's a life. Oh, a long life, 100 years. It's nothing, dude. The fucking fir tree will outlive you, motherfucker. You know, you can't win. You just can't win. You look at things from the perspective that you're given. And to us, everything is based on like 100-year cycle. But oh my God, things are so fucking vast. Everything down to the, you know, nanosecond up to the, you know, the distance across the universe, the 100 billion suns, you know, 100 billion stars in just the Milky Way galaxy, and 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. Therefore, 10 fucking trillion planets, stars that we know of. It just it's so astronomical that every time I picture the large and the small, I just think, here we are, fitting into this little niche, trying to find our way. You know, it's so silly. And we're like given no manual. We have no book. We don't have, I mean, this is why the Bible is so popular. I get that. I know somebody will probably say that, but the Bible, honestly, is reading the Bible to try to figure out how to live life, to me, would be akin to trying to read you know, a manual on building a nuclear power reactor. Yeah, you can read the words, but you're not going to understand what the hell it's saying. There are some metaphors that can be taken to heart, but the bigger pictures, the stories we tell each other, the ones that are passed down, the ones that remind us who we are, you know. Okay, so hello, Pomona. I'm going to flip through these little words here on my phone and say hello to everybody. I've been doing live casts on my GoPro, but I didn't want to do that tonight because it's too much hassle. Where was I? Yo, hey, Amy. I'm never sure how to pronounce that, so I just call you Amy. How you doing? Homemade roast chicken dinner. Nice. I had a pot pie, chicken pot pie. It was delicious. All right. Oh no, don't buy into the troll. There's always a troll. Thanks, Pam. Good to see you, Pam. Drumming for life. Good to see you, my friend. Pam says dad died a year ago. Grieving happens in different ways. Yeah, I didn't even get to that aspect. I mentioned my mom passing. I haven't grieved yet at all because we've been dealing with so much of this other shit. Like, it's not that I suppress my grief, it's that it comes out when it needs to come out. I'm a man. I can cry. Okay. I will cry in front of people. I don't care. I have no shame whatsoever. If I need to cry about something, I'm gonna let it out right there and right then. And I have no shame in it. But you can't force it. Like, men have a harder time with that. My wife, she can let out her grief a little bit at a time. For me, it's just like the waterworks, then they shut off. And then a few months pass, then the waterworks, then they shut off. So grief is like an ongoing process. It's an unwinding and winding, and it can be difficult. But after losing my dad at 15, I think it made it a lot easier for me. But losing my mom, the only positive aspect that helps me deal mentally with it is the fact that, because she was 73, she wasn't that old, and she was able-bodied before she got sick. She got COVID, but she had got really skinny and she had been really sickly, and then she got sick, where she thinks it was COVID, and then it lasted, and it just drug on for like a month, and then we just got the autopsy report back because they had to do one because they didn't have a cause of death. She had collapsed, and they said that it was due to uh, a combination of things. Malnourishment was one of them. She refused to eat. I'd try to get her to eat things, and she just wasn't interested. And she told me she wanted to die. So that's very hard on a person, especially on a son, I guess. And I'm glad that I'm strong enough to be able to cope with my mom telling me, "Oh, I want to die," and I'm okay with it, and then dying all of a sudden. It's like, okay, bye, mom. You know, like, I'm mad at her, but I love her and I miss her. It's like these whole whole array of emotions that we feel when we lose somebody, and it's okay to talk about it. So many people are very sensitive and they're afraid to really tell people how they really feel, and I think that that's just a travesty, a fucking travesty. Get out there and put down, lay your fucking walls down and tell people how you feel, because it feels so much better. It really does. Anyway, yeah, it's been difficult. Grieving is hard. It always is. Pomona. Thankful for the opportunity to breathe oxygen. Indeed. Cowboy Chris. Hello, my friend. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. Hello, Sporecaster. Wind War Attack. Good to see you too, my friend. Hello to you. Highway Child. All right, cool. It's good to hear from all of you. Before I started this, I wasn't even going to do a live cast. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I guess I'm doing it for myself because I wanted to talk to people. I feel like you're kind of my family. It sounds stupid. I know you'll say, "Oh, it doesn't sound stupid at all. I feel the same way." You know what I mean, though. I mean, as a YouTuber, it's put yourself in my position of a guy who sets a camera in front of him and says, "Hey, a whole bunch of people, come watch what I have to say and have a one-way conversation with me." Hey, you know, it's I've always acknowledged that aspect, which makes me feel like an imposter on my own channel in a way. And I'm thinking that one day I'll probably get over it, or not. Maybe not. Maybe it's just part of the acknowledgement to what keeps me humble in some sense. Because I'm a humble dude who plays an arrogant game sometimes. Whenever I get accused of being arrogant, I just laugh because it's like, I look down on myself for so many things, but I'm not arrogant. I'm fucking confident, okay? Because I know who I am, and nobody can break that. I know that there's something that I have that no motherfucker in this world can take away from me, and that's my authenticity, my ability to go into any crowd of people and be like, "Hey, what's up? This is who I am. How are you doing? Oh, you don't like me? Cool, late." Oh, you do? Okay. Hey, let's hang out for a bit. I mean, that's the attitude I like to have because, but there's also the, even if I do like you, if I don't want to hang out with you right now, I'm going to tell you. It's a matter of setting boundaries, being able to say, I want to be alone right now. I want to be with people right now. This is how I'm feeling right now. And just not beating myself up for being a human because all of us beat ourselves up for being human. It's just part of being human, you know? Fucking humans. Yes, Ramona, I completely agree. You should share your emotions because if you, here's the main reason. There's two main reasons to share how you feel with people. Number one is obvious because you need to let out your emotions. You need to let people know how you feel. But almost as importantly, if not more importantly, when you see somebody act vulnerable that you think is strong, that that a lot of people are shocked by that. They say, "Wow, this person can, just like letting a man cry, that kind of thing." It might change a person's perspective on life. Like right there, right then and there. If they were raised by one of those dads, the tough guy dads, they're all over the place. There's one right up the street, want to raise his kid to be tough. Uh, okay, fine, your kid will be tough, but he's gonna fucking hate you too, because if you raise your kid to be an asshole, he's gonna be an asshole to you as well. You don't raise him to be tough, you raise him to be resilient, but with love and compassion is the way I see it anyway. That's my thing. But I just I think it's important that dads show vulnerability so their sons can see that they can cry and it's okay. And that's what I'm getting at. It's important for all of us to do it for each other. Put it this way, if you show your feelings to a group of people or a friend, right? What's the fear? What are they going to do? You think that they're going to make fun of you or laugh at you? And if they do, they're not friends. They're a piece of fucking shit. Get them out of your life, move on, do something better. If it's especially if it's a spouse or a husband or wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and you have somebody that you can't even share your most intimate thoughts with without them like poking and prodding you, that's fucking alarm bells ringing, a 4 or 5 alarm fire right there. Get the hell out. And I know so many people are in relationships that are just very toxic and they learn to shut down. And it's not always, relationship like a man and a woman or man and man, whatever, but it can be husband or it can be father and son. It can be mother and daughter. It can be whether it's parents and kids, grandparents and kids. There are so many toxic relationships out there where, people are abused mentally, physically, and otherwise. And it's sad. It really is. I care a lot about people. And because I care a lot about people, I have to build up very strong walls and thick skin. It's weird. It's almost contrarian, in itself, that in order to be a sensitive person, you have to be rock fucking hard to like you be able to fight, and you have to be able to fight through life. Because if you're weak, you're going to get stepped on. And when you get stepped on, you build up a lot of um, well, resentment for one, towards the world, but you become very cynical. The kind of people who allow themselves to be pushed around. That's why it's important to be a little bit tough all the time in order to not have to be a tough guy in the long run. It's hard to explain. It's something I've been wanting to articulate for a very long time. The idea that you can't just be the peace loving hippie all the time. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not a real mindset. The person who cares about everybody and everything and seeks no conflict and would never fight, the full blown pacifist. And I've asked pacifists, well, what if somebody was harming somebody you love? Would you defend them? If you're a pacifist, you won't fight. So, yeah, I will fight. I'll beat you into a bloody pulp. In fact, I will smash you to pieces if you harm somebody I love. And I have no guilt doing it whatsoever. That's love, you know. And I feel like folks who try to wrangle around that with, some sort of a philosophy about peace just don't get it, and they never will, or maybe they will. But I'm a very peaceful person, so I feel like I can say that legitimately. I've never harmed another person. I've neve been in a fight. I've been in a one fist fight, and it's because I got picked on. You know, I was always bullied in school, so I stood up for myself. And I learned long ago, you don't put up with bullies. You put them in their place right away. You be the biggest guy in that prison right away. I didn't go to prison, but metaphorically, I did go to jail. Didn't have any problems. Got thrown in solitary confinement, so nobody could fuck with me, right? I didn't do anything wrong. That's just all the space they had. Welcome to the American prison system. Have I rambled long enough yet? It's only been a half an hour. It's not too bad. Oh, who we got? Husky Love Music. Good to see you, my friend. Sunday Night Vibes. Thanks for sharing with us. Cold and dark here in northern Ohio. Yeah, it's cold and dark here in the Portland area too. I'm over in Vancouver, Washington, but yeah, it's pretty chilly. Thanks, Chris. All is pretty well here. Husky says also called righteous anger. Yes, righteous anger. That's a great way of putting it. I should say maybe righteous aggression. Um, Anger is an interesting one. I'm curious to know what people think about anger, because anger is something that can consume you if you allow it to. If you, and we all know this. I mean, it was when I had to go to jail. It was actually the restitution center. I had to go there for like a month. Well, there was a period where I had to go for like 5 months, like 3 times a week for this stupid treatment program because I smoked pot. Fucking thank God that shit's over. You know, now I can buy weed at the corner store. Like I told my probation officer back then, be like, I'll be able to buy weed in 5 years. This is stupid. And she just hated it. She's like, you just need to get off probation. Just finish this stupid program and you'll be done. I'm like, okay, fine. Because I got dirty drug tests every single time and just said, I'm not going to quit smoking pot. I like pot. I went to jail for 3 days, for 10 days, for 30 days. Well, it was the restitution center. And while I was there, I was taking these classes just to kind of fill time. And before that, I actually had to go to these classes 3 times a week. And there was these other classes they had in there for anger management. And I kept thinking, like, these are the guys who, you know, are back in here every goddamn week for beating on their wife or their kids. And I really thought about that, like the kind of mind it must take to be willing to raise your hand and physically hurt somebody. My mom was beaten by her dad. She used to hide under her bed because he'd kick her and throw shit at her and hit her. Her and her sisters. There was 3 sisters. You know, no boys in the family, just 3 girls. And he was just probably a bitter, grumpy old man who wished he'd had sons. Who knows? I don't know what his problem was. I never really got to know him. He didn't live very far from me. He's the one who was like a master Freemason, and he was like chief of police in his town, like Mr. Bigwig. But deep down inside, he was a piece of fucking shit, you know. And my mom never took me to see him because she knew he was a piece of shit. And when she died a couple months ago, I was brought all her stuff home, and I was reading through her old letters. She'd left me a thing of letters to her dad that she'd got, either the ones that weren't sent, but some of them were postmarked. So that means they went to her dad and probably came back to her. And let's just say that they were personal, and she put him in his place pretty good. And I'm proud of my mom for standing up for herself and saying, fuck you, dad. You beat me. But it affected her for life, you know. And everybody I know who's been harmed by their parents or beaten by someone because of anger, it's very difficult to shake that in your life. And I want to say I'm very grateful my parents never caused me any physical harm. In fact, my dad cornered me against a bookcase one time when I said something hard, you know, back talked him. I remembered that. He didn't hurt me. But my mom, I remember I told her, fuck you, when I was 9 years old, and she was vacuuming. I'll never forget. She told me to do something. I said, fuck you. 9 years old. And she just flipped, but she didn't hurt me. I'm sure she spanked me, probably. No, probably not at that age. Who knows? But I probably deserved it because I was a little shit. Maybe that's why a lot of kids today are just so So let me tell you a little story. So I went to a birthday party for this family friend and it was, or yeah, it was my wife's side of the family, and it was a birthday for a kid, right? And we went to this really cool pinball arcade out in Hillsboro, Oregon. It was huge, dude. Like fucking, I uploaded a video. I didn't make it public, but maybe I will. If people want to see it, I can put a link. I did a walkthrough of this arcade, and there were like fucking 500 pinball machines, dude. I'm not shitting you. Well, okay, there's I think like 300 pinball machines and 200 other machines, but it's mostly pinball, and it's just like room after room, and every wall is just full of all this art. It was just amazing, amazing, a really amazing place. Like autographed records and shit. Like the whole place, from floor to ceiling, was like memorabilia, collectibles. It was really neat. So anyway, we're in there and we're having the birthday, and the kid opens the presents. We're all sitting around the table, and it's time to cut cake. And there's a cake with like two balloons on the cake that were like, one was blue, one was orange. So this one kid, who's not the birthday boy, by the way, he's like sitting there going, I want the blue, I want the blue one, I want the blue balloon. And so they cut him the blue balloon piece, right? Of course, kids always want the cool piece. It falls over on the plate, and some of the blue gets smeared, a little bit of the balloon. This kid starts crying. All right, I get it. Kids get upset, they get sensitive. It's not about the kid crying, it's about the fact that the parents consoled him, like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And he just kept crying and looking around at people, trying to get attention as this, because of his cake. And I'm looking over like, it's fine, kid, eat it. Huge ass piece of cake would just and in the end, the parents take away that piece of cake and they give it to someone else, and they cut him. Do you want the other balloon, the only other balloon on the cake? Of course he's going to get it, because he's crying. And this was like, I was like, look at my wife, and I was like, this is the problem with kids today. This is when people say that kids are spoiled, this is what they mean. It's not child abuse to tell your kid to shut the fuck up. Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. When I was talking about abuse and anger and all that, I think we took it a little too far in our generation and started telling other people how to raise their kids. People are like, you can't spank your children. Have you ever had your kid run out on the fucking highway, or out in the middle of the road, or run up to a wild animal? If you spank a kid, there are some wild ass kids out there. Okay, I've had a couple. I have 3 boys, and when they run out and they do something bad, yeah, I've spanked their ass before. I felt so bad about it. I the same way I would feel if I had to spank my dog, which I've had to do that when they're young, because otherwise they don't listen, they don't understand, and they might kill themselves. So it's a matter of, do I give them a little bruise now, or do I let them harm themselves? Because screaming doesn't work. They don't understand anger, or you're grounded. It just doesn't work. So just want to say, usually coming from people who don't get it because they don't have their own kids, or the way that people, raising kids is a very nuanced thing. It takes a village. It does. It really does. Anyway, enough rant about that. Blessed man, good to see you. Love your last video on the spiritual connection when you were out on sick leave. It was inspiring. Thank you. I wasn't even going to make that one because I had the flu for the weekend, and I was like, I should make a video while I'm sitting here. So, I did make some connections. Hey, Dan Riley, good to see you, my friend. Rolled in and smoking a joint. I'll be doing that soon when I get out of here. I'm on the clock right now. Can't smoke a joint, or else YouTube will just delete my video and say it's medical misinformation for telling people pot's okay. What do we got here? Borderline what? Hey, brother. Love from the UK. Good to see you, my friend. McDaniel. Borderline. Man, really like this guy, Bearing. Been watching videos lately. Word up. Word up. It's good to see you all, and I'm glad to have people around that fucking actually are like normal. That, when I make a video, and I know the only people who stick around on my live chats are the ones who probably know me, but it feels like just hanging out with peeps. I just wish we could have a group chat, but it's hard to do. You can't, you can't like have 10 people doing a fucking live chat. And most people don't want to be on camera anyway. But I thought about doing like they have a go live together feature. But it's funny, since I started YouTube, You know, I've watched so many people come and go. They wanted to grow their channel. They wanted to, like, hey, we should do something together. And then the next thing you know, they just stop making videos. And I keep going and I keep going and I keep going. And that's why I'm making this tonight. I'm like, I'm going to keep my flow going, because speaking on camera is different than talking to people, friends and family. If you don't make YouTube videos, you wouldn't understand what I mean, but it is difficult to keep a flow going when you're having a conversation with an inanimate object with your face on it, hence my phone or camera, and being able to like actually articulate what I want to say and think far enough ahead to know what I want to talk about next. It's weird that the human mind can even fucking do that. I just always trip out on that. Like, how do I even know what I'm going to talk about? I've never had a script. I've never had anything in front of me. The most I have is on my videos. I'll have a list of notes, like a single word notes, like I want to remember this topic because I was reading about this. But when I do a live cast, I don't have any topic. So it just kind of, it's like having a conversation with nobody and myself. And it really takes a certain practice. It just trips me out. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to catch up on the comments here and see where we're at. Make sure nobody new has joined. Bless the man. Paul Rubin, what happened here? Almighty it's good to see you, my friend. He says, I argued the Lost Pieces community, the village we're all needed, the mechanic or bartender or co-worker who is there for our chats. Yep, indeed, my friend. Hello, Leslie. It's good to see you, too. Har. So there's this guy spinning wheels, which you all know on here. Welcome, spinning wheels. I hope you're getting the attention that your mommy never gave you, because I can tell that you're a troll, and I can tell you want attention. Every comment you've ever left is, having kids is selfish. Ooh, it's just, please, grow up a little bit in this world. Everything eats everything, and you're going to get eaten by this world if your only communication is through cynicism, because people won't be able to respond to you like another human being. I don't know. Maybe you don't have anything to say. That's the last thing I'm going to say to you, because honestly, I'm not going to respond to any more of your shit. I've had trolls in the past on YouTube. It's usually just mundane, stupid shit, but it's a waste of everyone's time and energy. And I think it's non-conducive to a future where humanity actually interacts in a respectful way. Like, if I have opinion about somebody or what they do, I talk to them about it face to face, but I don't go around with my virtue signaling online. It's just stupid. No offense. Blessed Man says that's so true about people stopping videos. Hoping you'll be sticking around. Yeah, I'll be sticking around. Fuck yeah. I ain't going nowhere, dude. I'm a badass. I'm an old schooler. I'm a vintage YouTuber, dude. I've been around from the beginning. Well, at least 2011, 10 or 11, but I've always done the same shit, and I'm going to continue to do the same shit. Oh, got to skip past the douchebag. Where are we? Wolf Pup. I rarely get angry, but when I do, it's a deep dive into why. It's always based on fear. Hell yeah, man. See, there's a comment. Spinning wheels should take note. There's people who have things to say that are actually productive. That is a fucking phenomenal, well, something I've been wanting to cover as far as how often we should get angry, because I didn't want to get off that wagon until I'd figured out exactly how to word some of the things that I have on my mind about anger. When I was younger, I thought it was best to try to get rid of it, okay? Try to abandon anger altogether. Anger, I have a relationship with now. I have a fire that I can draw on when I want it. And I can pull it out and be like, ah, fuck you. Or I can just be like, what's up, dude? And that's my choice. Like, I don't feel like it comes when I don't want it. And here's the thing. When people get really heated really quickly or really upset, the kind of people that get flushed and angry really easily, it's because they've set them. It's almost 100% insecurity. That's who knows, some sort of brain chemistry issues, whatnot. But for the most part, it's insecurity. Somebody pointed out something in them they don't like, or said something that triggers them. They're insecure about their own self and their authenticity. And so they lash out at the world and others. And you can see it in people. You see these guys and they're out there, they're just screaming at other people and they're ranting. Women do it a lot, like to people in public. I've seen this, like the way that some women will talk to other women, like as checkers or something. They're going through the checkout line, so they think they can talk to this person like a complete piece of shit. Um, I always have something to say to those people. I say, you respect this person, you know. This is a member of my fucking community. I don't know where you're from, but get the fuck out of my, you know, her store, because I know they can't say it because they work there as an employee. That's why I like smaller stores that are run by individuals, because they can just tell you to get the fuck out if they don't like you. And I think that's very important. You need to be able to tell people to get the fuck out of your life when you want to. You should always be able to. I feel so bad for folks who are surrounded by shitty people that they don't like, can't, or not can't, won't do anything about it because they don't have the strength. And I'm not blaming them because I know it's hard. We get cobwebs, we get wrapped up and entwined in these systems. Maybe we're reliant on this person for shelter. But honestly, I'd rather go fucking homeless than live with some piece of shit that treated me like crap. So we have to make choices. I don't like shitty people. I really don't. Almighty says, you must be close friends with your demons to control them or else be controlled. Absolutely. Embrace your darkness, my friend. Always embrace your darkness. I've been wanting to make, like, people have asked me to make a video when I'm like in the middle of a psychedelic journey. Like, hey, you should make one while you're tripping. Like, no, dude, that is some of the most personal shit that I've ever experienced. But at the same time, I come up with some really fucking profound, interesting shit, at least to me, in those states. And it might be interesting to say, do a podcast with somebody else, a friend of mine, at this during the second half of like a psychedelic journey. The second half is when you do most of the processing. And a lot of the times these conversations can be so damn productive. And it's not about the information. This is the beauty. 10 years ago, I would have thought, oh, that's pointless. There's no information in there. It's just people talking. What is information? Personally, I'm informed when I hear people talking. I'm more informed when I hear just a couple dudes talking about random shit, even if it's something I already know or don't care about, because I'm informed about how real people interact. If you see where I'm coming from, it's like, it's more important to hear people having real conversations than it is to learn stuff, because learning stuff is only going to take you so far. Somebody told me this a long time ago and I didn't believe them. I was like, I'm going to keep learning, and I like to learn. I do. But it's fucking pointless, you know. What you need to do is learn your emotions and continue to foster those emotions, to be able to have that emotional intelligence that allows you to lead a productive and happy life, to where you're not just an asshole to everybody. I can be an asshole sometimes, but I try damn hard not to be, you know? And I know people who sometimes are really cool, but are just an asshole most of the time. And I still love some of them. I have friends, you know, that I've met who have completely different demeanors than me, but we relate on the aspect of being kind to one another and respectful. Totally different political views. I got a conservative friend, a liberal friend. I'm somewhere in the middle. We have all these funny discussions and laugh about different politics and shit like that. We don't necessarily agree with each other, but we love each other. We're friends, you know, and that's what matters. It seems like people can't disagree without just tearing each other to bits. I just don't understand it. Well, I do. It's insecurity once again. Uh, it's not that I don't understand why it happens. It's that I don't understand why people don't know why it happens. Can't you see that you're being programmed? Can't you see that you watch fucking CBS or CNN or Fox News and that's why you're a dumb shit? No offense to anybody who watches those, but if you're getting all of your news from these conglomerate channels and then you don't understand how the division tactics work, it's like, we're all people, dude. We all got to live in the same fucking forest. We're all blooming next to each other. I want to give space to the people I don't agree with. I want to give space to conservatives, for example. People, I used to make fun of conservatives, you know, and I have friends who still do, who don't understand why I don't dislike conservatives now, why I have a different viewpoint, because conservatives are people. This is totally different than the Conservative Party, and I don't want to go into the politics here. but I have a strong respect for the conservatives, just like I have a strong respect for people in the South or in the Appalachians, right? I made a video one time where I said something a little bit probably harsh towards, you know, backwoods hillbillies, right? I got chastised by a backwoods hillbilly, and this motherfucker was smart and put me in my place. And I said, I apologize. You're right. I should have thought more about that. And since that, like 10 years ago or whatever, I've seen more and more like, videos from inside those areas. People are smart. It's not about education, right? It's never been about education. And I was dumb enough to think that uneducated people or people who didn't go to college, not just I didn't go to college, but people who didn't go to school are stunted, in some way. I hadn't thought it through to the fact that they've learned the most important things in life, which is that family, the connection, the friends, standing up for the people you love, your community, your neighborhood. They seemed happier, right? Why? And so I analyze those things. I want to know why people think the way they think. I want to know what makes people fucking tick, because that makes me happy. Makes me happy because I can pick and choose all these little parts of society that make me happy. Like religion, the same thing. The bits and pieces. Maybe I'll pray about this, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll feel this way or that way. I never have let another human dictate the way I think. At least I've been influenced by books I've read where people really got my attention, and then I learned my lesson. I definitely got over the guru complex really quick when I realized that no gurus exist. They're all just teachers. Call them a guru. Okay, a guru is a teacher, but what I mean is that if you have a lifetime guru, you missed the whole point. You might meet somebody who's at a certain point along their path. That's a mountain you want to reach. Think of a guru. If you want to go climb Everest, who are you going to talk to? You're going to talk to a guy who's climbed Everest, right? If you want to drive a Formula One car and you just got this new model, bought this F1 McLaren or something, and you're going to talk to a guy who drives a McLaren or works on a McLaren. You're going to talk to people who have done that thing. But it seems like people have this general idea about gurus and spiritual teachers as if you just go to one. It's like, no, you shop around, you find somebody who has the same goals as you, because not every human is trying to find the same truth. I mean, this is something that is maybe hard for people to grasp who believe in some monotheistic reality, that there's just one belief and this is how you should live your life. Um, if that works for you, so be it. I think that's great. But for the polytheist in all of us, it's there are many gods. I was learning about the Minoans the other day and how when their god failed them and Mount Thea blew up, which I guess was bigger than Vesuvius by like 10 times. I wasn't aware of this. I think it was like 3500 BC maybe, or maybe it was 3500 years ago, one or the other. When this fucker blew, the Minoans were just devastated. And you look back on these civilizations that have crumbled, these empires, and these the artistic nature of humans. They had many gods, and after this cataclysm, they have found evidence that they destroyed the statue of their god, and it was a female god. And then they'd gone on perhaps to worship the old male god again. And I just thought, my wife was sitting there, we were watching it, I was like, oh, yep, see, the women fucked it up again. And then we went back to the old, the matriarchy failed. Now the patriarchy is back again. Then it'll be the matriarchy, because men and women, nobody can rule this world. Nobody can dominate this world or understand this planet or each other. All we can do is just try to lead a group. It's just like a shepherd doesn't tell the sheep what to do. He just keeps them corralled, and that's kind of how leadership works in this world, because people need to be told what to do. A lot of people do. Not everyone. There are this, I have a whole diagram I drew about this because I was so curious. People talk about being a sheep, and I was like, well, why not be a shepherd? And I thought, okay, who's the shepherd protecting? What are the fence for? It's the wolf, right? So you got the shepherd, the sheep, the wolf, the fence, the barn, the pasture. And I drew all these metaphors on like this flow chart so I could try to understand like which parts of society belong to what. And it just got me off on this long tangent about about trying to be a shepherd and take care of each other. But if we're all shepherds, there's nothing to shep. Or no, so there's nothing to herd. You're a sheep herder, a shep herd. I got it backwards. Anyway, boy, am I rambling, huh? Leslie says, I prefer the company of my cats. I totally get that one. I like my dog. She always makes me smile. Every day when I come home, she's waiting for me. Almighty says, we shop for mechanics, doctors, cake bakers, but we do not shop for a spiritual advisor. Exactly. You've got a great point. And then he says, I make an argument that the Bible, walking on water, Matt 14, is about walking your path with confidence. That's a great point. You know, not falling in, walking on water, not falling in, not being submerged in the bullshit. Yeah, keeping afloat. I can totally see that. I love the metaphors, the archetypes, the allegories. A lone wolf, Leslie says, as am I. But you know what? A lone wolf soon dies. I got to make that point. A wolf cannot hunt by himself. You can get small game, but you're not going to get the big catch. And I think that, I know that just popped into my head. I'm trying to be a smart ass here. Because it really occurred to me, because every time I hear like a quote, I always try to, like, my brain instantly is like, oh, but what about this? But a lone wolf really does eventually, get skinny and die. Without a pack, you don't do well. And with a pack, we can get so much more done. But if your pack is violent and vicious towards you, you might be better off by yourself. And I guess that's the beauty. In a wolf pack, they have that natural tendency to stick to one another. Whereas we as humans just tend to think we can run it alone. No man is an island, as they say. And it's so damn true. I mean, I really thought I could run the gamut myself. You know what I mean? I mean, from the time I was younger, I've always had a few good friends, but really thought I could do this whole thing myself. I'm stubborn. I like to fix shit myself. I don't ask for help. I never ask for help unless I'm desperate. If I'm broke down on the side of the road, I'll find a tow or AAA before I'll call a friend and burden them. But when I do, I'm always grateful that I do have people that will help me. And that's the thing. Sometimes you have a friend that can loan you that one tool you need so you don't have to spend twice as much on something and they're not using it anyway. By having a small community of people, they don't even have to be like-minded individuals, except for in one way: trust. Trust is something that we really have to develop with one another. It's something we cannot lose. I feel like we've lost so much trust. I feel guilty, not guilty, but it just sucks that I always feel like I have to, like, cover my stuff in my car when I go in the store so nobody breaks my window, even though it's not likely. It can happen. It happens. I'm in the Vancouver area here. It's not like it happens very often. When I was in San Francisco, there's broken glass on every fucking corner. So, like 300 of those break-ins a day. So of course you're gonna, you get paranoid about the cities. And I want to trust people. I really do. I really do. The Buddha. So he flew to his next place. He was untethered along with no tail. That's funny. As far as being tethered, I did have. Actually, I had a subscriber many years ago who he was actually a practicing Buddhist too, and we had this debate about psychedelics, and he was convinced that there was no shortcut to spiritual enlightenment, which I hate that term. Not enlightenment isn't what we were discussing. Enlightenment is like the unpeeling of an onion, right? As the quote goes, layer upon layer you peel to find layer upon layer behind. It never ends. And that in the end you find out you had it all along. There's nothing in the middle. You were just it. You're enlightened. You just have to really remove and peel away the bullshit you've learned. But it's not a lasting, it's a fleeting emotion. Think of enlightenment like happiness. I think of it as just a larger epiphany, if you will. But it's never a full understanding of who we are. or what we're doing here, because you can't have that. That's like looking in the face of God, right? And it's funny, when I was younger, I wouldn't even use the term God. I'd use, the all or the great spirit or whatever it may be, just because it's just so tainted to me. And I've let that go because it makes other people more comfortable. But then it makes atheists uncomfortable. And it's so funny because people are like, oh, you're religious. Like, no, I just have seen God and I've talked to God. So I don't need to prove anything to anyone or anything anymore. I know where I am and where I'm going. I'm not concerned. Okay. I'm not worried. Um, and we had this discussion about whether, because this guy had the same epiphanies I had, but he reached them through transcendental meditation, and I told him I'd reach them through psychedelics, and he said that's not possible, you just can't, it's not the same thing. And I said, look, we're constantly evolving. Pretty soon you'll be able to put on some sort of a helmet, and it will trigger the part of your brain, put you into whatever the beta state, whichever it is, theta, I can't remember, some deep transcendental meditative state pretty quickly. In fact, psychedelics are going to be able to be turned on and off at will, as far as I'm concerned. We've got the NMDA receptors, we've got the glutamate receptors for ketamine, NMDA, and the 5-HT2A receptors for LSD, and psilocybin, which is a form of DMT, and DMT is active and it's endogenous within the body and the brain. So we are psychedelic creatures. We've grown alongside these substances, and I believe that mushrooms truly are the flesh of the gods. For example, that they have allowed us to see things that we need to see, and this is why they've grown alongside humans. This is why even LSD is derived from ergot, and ergot is a fungus that is found on wheat that has tainted wheat supplies for millennia. So this is nothing new to us. Many of the spiritual, experiences of the past, in fact, many of the visions that were had and many of the prophets used these psychedelic plants to achieve these states, which allowed them to write these books, which people now believe are the word of God. So it's too hard for people to believe that we can just pop something on our tongue these days and talk to God. It happens all the time. I've done it a few times and it feels great. And I won't, don't have any qualms with that. Nothing to prove. Well, the first time I got to what I called the Godhead, it was the only way I could describe it. I wasn't seeking it, you see. It just told me this is what it is. And I couldn't deny it. It was something unfathomable that I had never envisioned. And it's not something you just see. It's not a hallucination of heaven, right? It's a feeling. It's a full-blown experience. Like, holy fucking shit, I'm part of all this and it's okay. Really miss those days when I used to be able to just freely experience these new, discoveries. And I guess I'm very much more cautious now. I mean, I'm a psycho nut, but I only take psychedelics maybe once a year. Those ones, but ketamine's a different story. I'll get into that one some other time. I hadn't touched it until last year, and I recommend everybody take caution any substance they're taking, and do not take my medical advice. I've got to put all these disclaimers, right? But ketamine therapy, it's a Schedule 4 drug. You can order it online. Just let you know that. It's not that hard to get a hold of. And it can give people a perspective on things and trauma that they weren't aware that they even had. And it's short-lived enough to where it's not going to keep you all day. And that's the thing. The problem with taking psychedelics like mushrooms, especially for people who have cluster headaches or PTSD, it can be very daunting the first time. I should say the first time's not that hard because you don't know what you're in for. It's probably the second and the third time that really gets you. And yeah, psychedelics are like that. Anybody leave any final questions if you have them? Because it's been over an hour and I should get to bed because I got to get to work in the morning and get up at like 6. I'm going to go grab something real quick and I'll be right back. I just needed a sip. You know what? I think my eyesight's getting better now. Yeah, that's me in the background. I'm coming back. My eyesight was really starting to suck for a while. And you know what I think it was? I think it was kratom and alcohol. Bad combination. Not all the time, but just in the evening, if I'd have a beer, sometimes it was like my eyes would be blurry, but I can actually read everything on my phone right now. And that's funny because I was going to talk about this. I never really brought it up because it was embarrassing, but I figure I should clear the air on that too. I drank way too much during COVID. And you know, going to Costco and buying those big vodka bottles for the apocalypse and stocking up was a bad idea. And it set me on this. You know, I'm not a drinker. I don't like alcohol. Up until my like mid 40s, I didn't drink. Like I would have a couple beers with friends, and I'd always keep it at that. I have friends who are full blown alcoholics who have gone to jail, flipped their cars over and over. Like everybody I know has had DUIs and all kinds of problems. Full blown alcoholics that have had to quit because they're drinking mimosas at 6 in the morning, right? I've watched them and I've learned from them, and I said I don't want to do that. I'm like Snowbud would say. Snowbud was a musician. They had a comic book they put out, and there was this one part where it said, "Just pass the bong, you can't go wrong." And it was at the very end of a comic about how his friend got all into coke and it messed him all up. And pass the bong, you can't go wrong. And we always said that with our friends, like, just stick to weed, man, you'll be fine. And yeah, weed can make you lazy, weed can do this or that, but weed is not the same as alcohol. And I avoided alcohol and just smoked weed, but then I fucking weed fell out of favor and I started drinking, and I wanted to break that habit. So after I was started this therapy I was talking about with the K, I discovered that I didn't crave alcohol anymore. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, I'm saving it for later, but let's just say that I went from drinking every day and pretty much feeling shitty about it to just having a beer now and again when I feel like it, and not feeling like I have to have one every day. It's like it doesn't cross my mind like, oh, I need a beer like after work. Or I got to the point where I was like, oh, I don't have a beer to take in my lunch to work. Not to drink at work, but just as soon as I'm off work, to have a beer that quick. You know, it's just like it was kind of my treat after work. But you know, yeah, it's silly. As humans, we crave all these different things and we get addicted easily. And anybody out there who has an opinion on that and disagrees, I bet you're on the internet. Hey, there are a few people out there who probably have their shit under control pretty well, okay? But for most people, you know, you look at your phone too much. Everybody I know in my life looks at their phone too much. It sucks. It's the worst addiction. It's worse than any of the other shit. And it's like, I sometimes just pray for a major solar flare, a CME, an X15 way off the charts that just takes out the whole grid and blows out every resistor and every transistor and every chip in every cell phone on Earth. Am I being somewhat sarcastic? Of course, because I know that that would be the end of humanity and that we would be set back to the Stone Age and a lot of people would die and it would be horrible. But I feel like our way of life, while we're doing better in some ways, we're really falling behind. And maybe it's just that we don't know how to handle our own architecture yet, that we've just built too much too fast. It's possible. I'm going to go back for the comments, say hello. Faith. Who we got here? Oh, see, just when I said I could read, now I can't. I think it says Dahi or Dahi. I can't read it totally, but he said, "You're never alone. Look around. The Tao is everywhere." Indeed, it is. I was just reading, actually, my Tao book, but I trust my mom and my aunt, and myself. I don't even trust myself anymore sometimes. Thanks, Pomona. Trust is something that's hard to gain. Appreciate your friends who don't steal. Yeah, I had friends who stole from me and I actually forgave them and became friends again. That was hard to do, but Forgiveness is the ultimate. You know what I mean? Leslie says, "I love how knowledgeable you are on substances." Oh, girl, you don't even know, man. I'm a drug nerd. In fact, I have like two different Arrowhead shirts. One says "Drug Geek," and I wear it with pride. But I won't wear it around my kids. I can't wear it to work. I won't wear it to places where people don't understand that drug geek doesn't mean that I just get wasted. I'm very cautious with my drugs. I have always had a little portfolio of different substances that if I want something, it's always available. Let me just say that I don't have a hard time finding it. If I need it, it's usually around me, but I don't do it. I'm very cautious and I don't like talking about drugs because some people can't handle their shit. They can't hold on. They can't control themselves. They do too much. They get too wasted and they get themselves in trouble and act like idiots and mix drugs, you know. My friends are pretty damn responsible with substances. We're good. We're professional drug users. Like, I mean, I can go out and do fucking 8 substances in a day. Yeah, that sounds crazy, but we're talking caffeine, nicotine, all these different things. Everything counts in its own way. And it's not to be proud or say, oh, that, that's awesome. But because there are young people who think, yeah, I did 10 drugs in a day, man. It's like, oh, God, dude. So fucking what? How much did you do? Were you mixing Valium with alcohol? You're a dumb shit. Were you doing fentanyl? You're a dumb shit, you know? Did you test your powders to make sure they didn't have fentanyl in them? You're a dumb shit. We have test kits and have always tested our MDMA and all these things and make sure that everything's pure. And that's hard, daunting for a lot of people. They don't want to do that and have to, worry about it, which is why legalizing these substances could go a long way. I'm very mixed bag of feelings about legalizing psychedelics. I'd rather have them decriminalized. And for folks who don't know the difference, if you decriminalize something, it means you've just removed the law that prevented you from having them in the first place. It's wonderful because it just means that now you're free to have them. You figure out how to get them. If they're legalized, that usually means like what happened with cannabis. You have to have state sanctioned facilities. This means pharma is going to be involved and that you're going to be buying your fucking cocaine from Pfizer. It's just how it works. So decriminalize and educate and make sure people aren't doing the stupid shit. Heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, amphetamines, stay the fuck away from them. Do they have their place? Coke, amphetamines, maybe even heroin? Who am I to say, right? Um, it's just a matter of being smart and knowing when. I don't. I stay away from that shit personally. I had my day with back in the days of ice in the 80s and 90s. They called it ice, and that was pure crystal amphetamine, crystal meth. It was a bad time, my friends, and I don't even talk about that because it's embarrassing, and I don't even want to go back to that part of my life. I wasn't an addict. I didn't, I wasn't strung out or hanging out in some drug house. It was just every week, working at the gas station. My buddy would have some, and it's an easy addiction because it's cheap and it'll last a long time. And I would say, if you can avoid, stay away from that one. Tweak will just destroy you. I remember when Faces of Meth came out, and if you haven't seen it, it shows people who before they started using, and then a few years later, mugshots in progression, and it's bad. It will destroy your body. And I'm glad that it didn't get hold of me that way because I saw what it did to my friends. And I was able to get out and get away from those people. I've always been good about protecting myself and my assets from people who might get me in trouble. Only because I've learned my lesson after getting in trouble. Leslie said, what's that Mason envelope thingy you got there? Oh, you talking about this? I'll grab it. Ugh. That'll fall on my face first. If I do, you guys call 911, all right? You must be talking about this. This is called a Masonic apron. and it's when they raise you when you become a Mason, a Freemason. It was my grandfather's, and then it says initiated March 1930, passed April 1930, raised May 23rd, 1930. Grand Ron Valley, M. Roy Gibson, something Ferguson. It was from when my grandfather was initiated, and they make these little things, these little aprons that they wear, and yeah, they're kind of cool. You know, of course, that just means he's Illuminati, right? I've got all his Mason rings. I did a video about that a while back, a long time ago, but I'll do another one. I guess my camera's about to die. My phone is 15%, and that means it's time to go. I need to get to bed anyway. But I'll answer the rest of these questions. Highway Child says, do you still use Kratom? Yes, just a little bit though, and I never use it past like 2 or 3 p.m. Kratom has been like a just work thing, just a little bit like coffee in the morning. And I don't use it as my main go-to. I've used probably a third of what I used to use, or half. So I would like to get off it too. I wish I could trip like I used to. Yeah, I know that's a hard one, but you just got to find the right combination, and I'll make a video about that one. Crystal method. Are you tired of taking psychedelics, or does it refresh after taking psychedelics? It actually keeps you awake. The thing is, it'll keep you awake the time while it's active, but I can go to bed and then wake up refreshed, like after like 5 hours, 6 hours, and like it still has kind of a lingering effect. We call it the afterglow. So the day after, I like to take psychedelics at night. I think that they're more beneficial. So I'll take them in the evening, like 6 p.m., trip till some, depending on what you're taking, you know, till into the morning hours, and then go to bed sometimes at dawn and wake up at like 10, and then have these long, deep conversations. It's the afterglow is like where the real healing happens. A lot of folks don't realize that. They think that the healing happens while you're tripping. They don't understand why they're not making the connections. It's the next day they're like, I get it now. I get it. Oh, I understand why I fucked this up. And like, it's when your brain comes back, it's rewired. But yeah, that's a topic all its own. New guy here, but appreciate everyone's input. Good to see you, new guy. I appreciate new people. It's always great to have new folks in the live chat. Everybody's new to me because I can't see any of your faces. So, you know, I'm just a dude chilling. You usually have to put your glasses on to read the comments. You're absolutely right. That's right. And I'm doing a lot better now. I feel like my vision was affected by the substances I was using. God damn it. I knew that at the time. I want to be a healthy person. I want to take care of myself, but I have so much mental anguish that I'm trying to obscure, and I'm consciously aware of that, and I'm okay with it. I don't want to hide from it. I don't want to hide. I also don't want to immerse myself fully and just say, okay, I'm just going to live a sober life and deal with all my shit head on. No, I feel like humans, we're living in a day and age where we have the ability to modify how we feel. And I'm goddamn well going to take advantage of that, okay? As long as I don't abuse it. I want to tell you how I feel about substances since I've been on that kick. Taking drugs, I like drugs that only last a little while. The shorter the duration, often the more I like it. The reason is because that's controllable. That's why I like to smoke weed rather than taking edibles most of the time. If I took too much, it'll wear off in an hour or so. And that's what I like about, say, ketamine compared to LSD. It wears off quicker. And, you know, if I overdo it, and I've overdone it on LSD, and I thought I was going to freaking freak. I mean, it was bad. Like six tabs of Felix, and it was like back in 1990, I think it was 1995, and it was the strongest shit ever. The dude told me to, and I just didn't believe him. Just took them all. Stupid as fuck. Like, I was so dumb, and I just never been that far gone. Taken a 10 strip and not even been close to that place, you know, and I'll never go back there. I didn't take acid for years after that. I really recommend people know their dose and be careful. Nowadays, I only take like maybe one or two if I want to do that shit. I'm very cautious, even though it's weaker, like probably 5 times weaker than the shit I took. It's just I was going too far because I didn't know any better, and so it's all about the dose. Because that's why people say, "Oh, I took that once. Ah, that was fucked up, man." It's like, well, you took too much. You didn't have the experience because you were too far gone. Anyway, yep, my phone's probably gonna die, so I love you all, and I appreciate you all. Breakfast after mushrooms, indeed, my friend. Peace and love. You can hit the like button if you liked it or not, because honestly, I don't give a shit because it won't get promoted anyway. And you know what? I think I'm going to start doing these on Sundays because it's now that I actually have my brain in like a schedule loop. I think I'm going to be able to actually pull my head out of my ass and put it on camera at least once a week. And Sunday would be a good time. And next week, I'd really like to maybe arrange something where I could. I want to do a podcast or a live cast with my son. He's 29 and he's a really smart guy. And my brother wanted to do one too, and I think it'd be really fun. But it's just a matter of organizing it, having it at the right time. So, anyway, peace, love, all that shit. Just remember we're all here together and we're all just trying to navigate this crazy world. Don't take shit too seriously, man. It'll just eat you alive. It doesn't matter, but it does matter that you care. It does matter that you have loved ones because ultimately you'll know when you're at peace in your heart. You'll know when things are right. Sometimes I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I don't let shit get to me the way other people do. But it's something that's learned, right? Something that's learned. And it's something that can be taught. And I'm trying to teach you. Let it go. Don't let people take advantage of you. Get away from toxic people. But you're going to have some conflict because that's just life, right? Peace out. Be well. I'll see you next time. Beep, bop, boop.